What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. So we're going to continue another weekly series here on the channel. Yesterday, I continued another weekly series where we're looking at my personal top 10 players in various positions around college football. Today, we're continuing our power ranking weekly series. We've looked at the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. Today, we're looking at what I believe to be the third best conference in college football is the ACC. And they've steadily been improving over the past couple of years, and they have some really good teams in the conference this year, and some teams that I think people are overlooking. Some people might be underlooking as well, if that makes any sense. Overrated, underrated teams all across this conference. Where does your favorite team in the ACC stand in my rankings? Again, these are purely opinion-based, so don't get super mad at me. Again, these videos are made for us to agree to disagree. Speaking of which, hey, thank you so much for clicking on the video. If you're new to the channel or you find yourself coming back on the regular, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you're a college football fan like me, you can also do so as well. Leave a like, share, helps push the videos out to as many people as possible. And you can leave a comment down below telling me your personal power rankings, anything you would maybe want me to know, anything that you would like to get out there. The only thing I ask is that you not necessarily stay positive. You don't have to do that, but just be kind to everyone, right? All I ask, very easy thing. So let's talk about the ACC in 2021. Now, there are two teams that I think are going to, quote unquote, contend for the bottom spot in the ACC this year, right? And those two teams, you'll see here in a little bit. And those two teams, I feel like you could flip them around. And honestly, if you want to, okay, so I'll tell you right now, I have Syracuse at 14. The other team you're going to see are at 13. If you want to put Syracuse at 13 and the team you're going to see at 13 and 14, go ahead. Not going to argue with you. But I did put Syracuse here because after that season in 2018, what a downhill trend it's been. I mean, Syracuse went from, okay, Syracuse looks pretty promising to, oh, they're a disappointment again, right? 1-10 in 2020, not good at all. Their offense is horrible. Their defense also horrible. There are some solid individual playmakers for Syracuse, but then when you look all overall at this roster talent, there's not a whole lot to like, in my opinion, for Syracuse, at least when you look at the other competition in the ACC. They also have to play Rutgers in non-con. Yes, the game's at home, and we all know the story with the Rutgers, right? But the Kansas of the Big Ten, that's going to change this year. They're probably not going to be favored in that game. In fact, I don't know that Syracuse is going to be favored in any game they play this year, unless it's against an FCS opponent. I don't know that Syracuse has one on the schedule. Most likely they do. So that's probably maybe the only game they're going to win this year. Who knows what will happen with this Syracuse team. There's not a lot to like from me. 14th is where I put Syracuse. Now, the team at 13 are the Duke Blue Devils. You can swap the two around. Honestly, between those two, I do think it is a race for last place. So when you look at Duke, look at their returning production. That's not great at all. The offense was promising last year, but a lot of that had to do with Chase Bryce. Now, I know Chase Bryce is not the best decision maker, and that is evident when you look at his stats. I believe had 15 interceptions last year, and I believe that was also one of the highest marks in in FBS in the nation. And now Chase Bryce is transferred out again. So any chance of a rebound back here at Duke are gone. I believe transferred over to App State. Not even sure if he's going to be the starter over there, to be perfectly honest with you. But for Duke, yeah, a lot of the offense rested on his shoulders. I mean, he's a good passer when he's not throwing the ball away. And for Duke to replace him right off the bat, not going to be easy. Again, the former Clemson product and Chase Bryce. Enough talking about Chase Bryce, though. When you look at the rest of the talent on this Duke team, yeah, there are a lot of questions to be answered, right? I mean, Duke's not getting a whole lot of transfers, at least notable transfers that could really help to improve this team. I think it's going to be another disappointing season for Duke. Sorry, Blue Devil fans. Look forward to November when you guys can get on the hardwood. Should be a good season for you over there. But on the turf, things could pan out way differently for you. Don't think it's going to be that great of a season. Duke is at number 13. There always seems to be one team that, according to everyone else, seems out of place, right? Personally, I do not think Louisville is going to have a good season. That is why they are here at number 12. When you look at the talent that they are losing, 50% on the defensive side, that's huge. You can list off countless names there. But on the offensive side, okay, they're returning 73%. That's a solid number, and it includes Malik Cunningham coming back. What that number won't tell you, though, is that they have Luke McCaffrey coming over from Nebraska. Kind of a Taysom Hill type player. That's what I've compared him to before. Used a lot in like the quarterback run game option, things like that. Not a whole lot in the pass game, although I think he has some good passing ability. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe can take over for Cunningham, but to me, it's unlikely. I think Cunningham gets the start. And sure, Cunningham could have a bounce back season, but who's he going to be throwing the football to, right? Tutu Atwell is gone. Some other playmakers at that passing catching position is gone. Wide receiver position, tight end position. Sorry, phrase that horribly. Other players besides Tutu Atwell are gone. And you also have Javion Hawkins gone. So, in my opinion, say goodbye to that 200 rushing yards per game because I don't think you're going to get it. Not with Javion Hawkins gone. With Javion Hawkins there, maybe could be close, but with him gone, no. Nope. Louisville's a team that has to get a lot figured out. When you look right now, coach is on the hot seat, could find himself without a job next offseason. Louisville's a team that I just don't like. Could they prove me wrong? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, Louisville for me right now, 12th in the ACC. Ahead of them is a team that I think is slowly trending in the right direction. That's the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, don't expect Georgia Tech to do anything super amazing this year as, well, they have one of the hardest, if not the hardest schedule in all of the nation this year. Look, they got to play Clemson, got to play Georgia, among other tough games, tough teams in the ACC. So, around the nation, like Georgia Tech, this is not an easy schedule for the Yellow Jackets. When you look at the returning production numbers, schedule aside, the talent that is on this team is, in my opinion, pretty solid. It's okay. Now, I don't think Georgia Tech's going to make a bowl game this year, although I do think with any other average schedule, maybe Georgia Tech could get close. Offense has got to improve in some certain areas, especially the passing attack, in my opinion. The rushing attack has been terrific in previous years, especially with George Mason last year. Not quite sure if he's coming back. I'll have to look into that. But if he is, that's a huge boost for Georgia Tech. As you see, they have still a lot of production from last year coming back. Defense has also got to improve in every facet. They got to get better stopping the run, get better at stopping the pass. Again, Georgia Tech, when you look over the past couple of years, has made some good steps in the right direction. So I think give Georgia Tech a little bit of time. If they continue on this trend, if they can just improve by maybe getting one more win year after year, they're steadily going to creep up there. But for Georgia Tech right now, I don't see anything super special in 2021, again, just due to that schedule. So Georgia Tech for me at number 11. All right, let's talk about Florida State. I'm going to talk about Florida State for a little bit here, so strap in, buckle up, Florida State fans. They're at number 10 for me. Now, Florida State is a team that I could see really going one of either way. I don't think they're going to do as bad as 3-6 again, but I also don't think they're going to do anything great, like a 10-2, 11-1, like Florida State did way back in the day, right? For Florida State, they get Mackenzie Milton coming in. The question for him is, how healthy is he really? Like, really, how healthy is he? Because, in my opinion, Mackenzie Milton made a huge bet on himself, which is something that professional athletes do a lot, especially when you're signing contracts. A topic that doesn't belong on this channel. Well, maybe with college athletes getting paid, it will soon, right? But for Mackenzie Milton, I think this is a huge bet on himself. He knows how good Dylan Gabriel has been playing at UCF. Dylan Gabriel was going to start over Mackenzie Milton, whether Milton was healthy or not. That's just the way things work. For Mackenzie Milton, he should be the starter on this Florida State team when and if he's healthy. And the question is does he remain healthy throughout the season? And is his play affected by his injury? Look, he hasn't stepped on the turf in almost 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, as a matter of fact. So does that affect him? I'm going to go out here and say yes. With this offense, though, that Mike Norvell can run, if Mackenzie Milton looks even a flash like his former self, I don't think he's going to contend for the Heisman or anything, but if he looks like a flash of his former self, this offense has some good playmakers. The defense needs to improve around him. With this Mike Norvell offense, I think Florida State can have a pretty solid offense, and I could see Florida State being in a lot of high-scoring games this year. But I also think that's where their downfall is, because I don't know how well their defense is going to keep up. So this is going to be an interesting season for Florida State. I think this season can really tell whether this Mike Norvell hire was a genius hire, or again, we'll still have to wait and see. So for Florida State, I have them at number 10. Put Florida State really anywhere you want in the middle of the pack. I think Florida State should be a solid team. We'll have to wait and see. All right, number 9 for me is Wake Forest. So Sam Hartman is coming back, and I'm not sure how much I've talked about Sam Hartman on the channel. Haven't talked about him a lot as of late at all. Not sure that I'm going to be doing a preview prediction for Wake Forest this year. So they were 4-5 last year. But Sam Hartman is a quarterback that I don't think gets enough credit. Granted, in his last game last year, he threw 4 interceptions against Wisconsin. Fair, but Wisconsin also had one of the better defenses statistically in the Big Ten while still having a down year. So I'm not going to fault Sam Hartman too much for that, but although a couple of those interceptions could have been avoided, again, played in the Duke Mayo's Bowl. So for Wake Forest, look, when you look at the offensive numbers, they're pretty good. And when you have Sam Hartman coming back, you also have Jaquari Robertson coming back, a really good wide receiver that was an honorable mention on that list, on that video that I did. So, like, hey, for Wake Forest, this is a team that has to get better defensively, and their offense is going to win them games. But I also think their defense can lose them games if it doesn't get better. So for Wake Forest, expect a solid season. Nothing too crazy out of the Deacons, though. They're at number 9. All right, so number 8 for me is Virginia. This might surprise a couple of people, but I like Virginia a little bit more than a lot of other people this year. When you look now, Virginia, when you look at a guy like Bryce Perkins, I believe that was the quarterback's name, when Virginia was actually a pretty solid team when they made a New Year's Six Bowl, right? There's no talent like that at the quarterback position, but there are some solid players all around the field for Virginia. This is the team that I feel like is going to go in one of two directions. I feel like they're going to surprise quite a fair amount of people, or they're going to be another average team in the ACC that gets into a bowl game. I could see Virginia making a bowl game. I could also see them not making a bowl game. Just a lot of improvements overall needed around this Virginia team. Although I still feel like with the players that they do have coming back, this is still a solid team here at Virginia. Again, if you really want me to get more in depth, if you want me to cover Virginia, I'm considering it, but I'm on the fence. So if you want to see me do a preview prediction video on Virginia, let me know in the comment section below. For right now, for me, 8th in the ACC. All right, we're going to start moving, picking up the pace a little bit. So 7th is the Virginia Tech Hokies. The Hokies are a team that, in my opinion, have never necessarily reached huge offensive potential. So when you look at the stats last year, yes, that's a really good yards per game mark. The rushing yards per game, that might take a dip this year with Khalil Herbert leaving, although Blackshear's still there. Passing yards per game, we'll have to see, right, if Burmeister can really be take that next step. But to me, I still think the offense, there's stuff to get better with Josh Heupel, or not Josh Heupel. With that head coach, I still feel like there's Josh Fuente. That's it. I apologize. So with Fuente in this offense, it was at Memphis too, right? You could have gotten a solid offensive production on this Virginia Tech team, and I haven't necessarily seen that on a consistent basis. So their offense can be good one night and then be really bad the other night. The other place they have to improve is the defense, and a defense that I think should get a minimally better this year at the very minimum, as Virginia Tech had a lot of suspensions last year. We'll see, right? We'll see with this Virginia Tech team. I have them at 7-5 right now. I think this team can be pretty good. Again, they just have to reach their full potential. So Virginia Tech, for me, a team that is middle of the pack in the ACC at number 7. Okay, number 6 is a team that I still feel like is getting underrated, and that is the Pittsburgh Panthers. They were only 6-5 last year, but Kenny Pickett might be the ACC's most underappreciated quarterback. I think Kenny Pickett really can be a solid quarterback. Now, the rushing yards have got to get a little bit better for Pitt. I will agree the run game needs to work, but if Kenny Pickett can play like Kenny Pickett, and maybe even a little bit better, and Pittsburgh can continue to improve that defense, look, their defense has been one of the best in stopping the run. They got to fill some holes on the defensive line. How good does that work? We'll see, right? Passing, usually have a pretty solid secondary. Statistically, this is one of the most underrated defenses in the entire nation. I feel like that does continue this year for Pittsburgh. How good does Pitt play in 2021? I know no one calls them Pittsburgh, all right? Cut me some slack here. I know everyone calls them Pitt. So the Pitt Panthers, we'll see, right? I think Kenny Pickett can still play really solid if this defense can continue on what they've done in previous years. The offense can improve in some various areas. Pitt has a chance to pull off an upset this year, and you know I have them pulling off an upset against North Carolina. Very underrated team. Watch out for the Panthers. They're at number 6. All right, number 5 is the North Carolina State Wolfpack for me. They were 8-4 last year. I feel like they're going to do similar this year. This is the highest returning production number, I believe, on the defensive side, maybe besides Clemson. Again, we'll look at that in a little bit. But one of the highest returning production numbers on the defensive side in the nation. Now, that offensive number is nothing to, bulge out about. But Devin Leary's coming back. So Leary was the starter last year, then broke his leg, and then went to Bailey Hawkman, right? But Leary is coming back. I've talked about Zonovan Knight before. I think he's a really, really good back. Defense has got to get a little bit better, although with that experience coming back, I think North Carolina State can have a solid defense this year. And we know what this team is capable of, right? This team can play teams that they're not supposed to play close. Maybe they pull off an upset against North Carolina this year. Who knows? Maybe they play Clemson closer than expected. We'll have to wait and see what North Carolina State does as soon as they get on the field. But I feel like this team has a very high ceiling. I feel like this team can perform really well if they give it their all this year. So North Carolina State here at number 5. And number 4 for me is a team that I really do like. It's the Boston College Eagles. In my other video, I call them the Golden Eagles. Not even ESPN has them listed at that, and Boston College fans not necessarily got mad at me. They're just like, hey, by the way, it was the same thing with UCF last year, right? Called them the Golden Knights. Not really Golden Knights, just the Knights. Boston College, just the Eagles. And, well, the Eagles might, ironically, be looking pretty golden this year, right? Phil Jurkovec is a name that I absolutely adore. I love Phil Jurkovec. They have some nice transfers coming in on both sides of the ball. I think that rush yards per game is going to get a lot better this year. The defensive side could lose them some games, though. But I still really like this Boston College team. I think that defense is going to get a hell of a lot better, and Phil Jurkovec is going to really be Phil Jurkovec this year. And I think that offense can have one of the most explosive seasons in Boston College history. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Boston College has had some really good teams. I think this offense can be as explosive as ever. Boston College for me is at number 4. Again, don't be surprised to see this team in the top 25 at some point down the season. I do think Boston College can be that good. Now, the top 3 teams in the ACC are obvious, but what order do you have them in? That is the question. The Miami Hurricanes for me are at number 3. Now, they are 3rd in the nation. Again, the numbers are as of February 1st. Take them with a grain of salt. In returning production, 91%. Really, the only weapon they're losing on the offensive side is Brevin Jordan at tight end, right? That's about it. They got Cameron Harris coming back, Derek King coming back, lots of leading receivers coming back, and they're getting Charleston Rambo, a transfer over from Oklahoma. I think Miami can get better on the defensive side. Case in point, the embarrassment against North Carolina last year, right? And I say embarrassment, but not trying to throw shade, but really that's what it was. 62 points were hung on the Hurricanes while the offense kind of sputtered, right? Miami's defense has got to get better. And now I know there were players that opted out last year, mainly Greg Rousseau, right? I think Miami's defense is going to take a step forward this year, especially with that returning production number. If their offense can remain as dominant as it's been, and the question is Derek King's health, right? How is he coming off that injury? He seems to be ready to go for that week 1 matchup against Alabama, that if the Canes play a perfect game, possibly could win. But again, the defense has to take several steps in the right direction. The offense has to work on the little things, improve the little things. Miami could be a very good team this year. They're at number 3. Number 2 for me is North Carolina, and North Carolina houses my personal Heisman winner in Sam Howell. I absolutely adore Sam Howell. As a freshman, he blew me away. And then in the Granted, it was only a 1-game shortened season, but then still the slightly shortened season that the ACC played, Sam Howell improved on his stats as a freshman, and I think is still going to, as a sophomore, and I think is still going to improve as a junior. I think this could be the best season of his career, without a doubt. He's got the weapons around him, even though there are weapons leaving. Yes, I know. Everyone's going to talk about Newsome, and everyone's going to talk about the 2 running backs, Devontae Williams, Michael Carter. Look, North Carolina is a team that really can do some good things this year, and I'm very high on this North Carolina team. The defense overall wasn't super great last year. Like, there were points where the defense could have played a lot better. I think that's going to get better. Their offense was one of the most explosive in the nation. I believe led the ACC in yards per game. This is a team that I really like heading into 2021. They are at number 2. I think can surprise a lot of people, and legitimately, we already know this North Carolina team should be good, but I think they possibly have a chance to legitimately compete for a spot in the playoff, but they have to compete with the top team in the ACC, and that is the Clemson Tigers, no doubt. Look, what else do you want me to say about Clemson? 46% on the offensive returning production end. Hey, don't fret, Clemson fans. You guys don't rebuild, you reload, just like a lot of other teams. Case in point, Oklahoma, Bama, Ohio State, the top teams in their respective conferences that we've looked at thus far. Clemson's just dominant all across the field, and I really do not see that changing this year. Even though Lawrence is gone, DJ Uiagalelei is coming back and is going to be that starter this year. I think Lynjay Dixon is an overlooked running back. You got some really nice weapons at wide receiver, Frank Ladson. You also got Justin Ross, who, again, depending on how healthy he is, believe he's been cleared to play in that Georgia game, though. That's also the game you got to watch, that game against Georgia. I feel like Clemson definitely is the best team in the ACC and will be, just like Ohio State. Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten until someone proves them otherwise. Clemson's the best team in the ACC until someone else goes out and wins the ACC. We're going to leave it at Clemson here. That's going to do it for my preseason power rankings for the ACC. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, share, leave a comment down below as well. Tomorrow, we're going to get back in the schedule preview predictions. And tomorrow, I think we're going to go with the team from the ACC. We're going to do the Pitt Panthers. So remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Pitt is up tomorrow. Goodbye.